Guideline number 3 to conditioning reactions. React with love towards the scars. Almost unavoidably, the initial reactions that people have after being scarred permanently are shock and disbelief. The burdens that you will face come in many forms and they are different for each person. We're all unique. Your strengths might be my weaknesses, and vice versa. But some afflictions we share in common. Each of us, regardless of our history, is faced with emotional, psychological, personal, or social drawbacks that will have to be reckoned with eventually. What is the correct way to react? The correct way to react usually isn't the first reaction. The first reactions to scars are instinct. There isn't much of anything that you or I can do to control those first initial reactions. But later, with time, we can learn to react to our scars differently. We can learn to fall in love with our story. A passionate, sincere, heartfelt love for your own survival story is the answer. It is the correct way to react. But what about people who didn't survive anything to get their scars? What if you were born with yours? Whether or not you have had to, quote-unquote, survive trauma to get where you are today, you have survived challenges that most people won't ever get close to realizing. You're most likely taking this course because you're dealing with hurdles that the vast majority of people won't ever experience. The hurdles you face might be physical, emotional, psychological, or all of the above. These aren't minor issues. You overcome incredible odds every day, and you will continue to do so. Take your lowest spot in life and compare it to how high you've climbed, even if it doesn't seem very far. Look back and recount the trials and triumphs you have faced thus far. That is the precise story that you need to fall madly in love with. Let me tell you why. If you love your story, then that's all that matters. If you don't love your story, then everything else is going to matter. Think about this until you reach the core of what it means. If the reaction you have to your scars, disfigurement, and to the story that gave them to you is love, pure love, then no one on this planet nor any force or influence thereon can touch you. And if you don't love your story, then you will always be worried and stressed out about it. Memorize this ridiculously catchy line with me. If I love my story, then that's all that matters. If I don't love my story, then everything else is going to matter. Here's proof. Think of somebody that you love dearly and who has died. Perhaps they're a distant relative, parent, friend, or child. Whoever they are, they were very special to you, right? Now imagine crossing someone else on the street, someone you don't know, and overhearing him or her talk horribly about this deceased loved one. This inconsiderate stranger on the street is degrading them and utterly disrespecting the legacy they have left behind. They're mocking, slandering, and carrying on belligerently. As they do this, a flood of cherished memories of you with that beloved person pour into your mind. You can't believe what you're hearing, and you're enticed to speak up and make the person stop. At that moment, when someone talks bad about someone you love, do your feelings of love for your relative diminish or strengthen? Does the person in your heart lose or gain value? The answer, of course, is love for that person is strengthened and their value is increased. It's times like these when our love is reinforced. Most people would be willing to defend that kind of love to the grave. So here's the lesson. Love your own survival story in the same way. Love your scars the same way. Love your disfigurement the same way. Once we love our stories at that magnitude, we become unbreakable. No matter what force we come across, if we're genuinely in love with our story, we're more than willing to defend it. We'll defend the scars, the life lessons, and our life experiences to the absolute end. Of course, not everyone is able to do this. Not everyone can fall in love with a story that has caused him or her major grief. It isn't always easy. Unfortunately, a lot of individuals wrestle with their stories their whole lives. Because of that, everything else matters to them. When insults and failed opportunities occur, it is their life story that more than likely carries the blame. That's no way to live, and it's no way to treat oneself. We have to be different. It is loving the story, being grateful for it, sharing and inspiring others with it. That is the best alternative reaction any of us has. All right, that was guideline number 3, and it was all about reacting with love toward your scars. So now let me ask you something. How does having a genuine love for your own story influence the way that you react? Think about it, and when you have your answer, write it down. How about this? Why would some people find it difficult to love their own story? And talking about you now specifically, what is it that you love about your story? I'm guessing there's more than one thing that you love about it. Write all of your reasons down. Something I told you was that when we love our stories sincerely and passionately, we're willing to defend them to the end. Well, what exactly does that mean to you? How can someone defend a survival story? When you have all of these answered, move on to guideline number 4. Oh, and by the way, number 4 is a pretty big deal. So I'll see you there.
Thanks for listening. This concludes this segment of the Life with Scars program. For additional resources from Brady Armstrong or from Survivor Academy, visit survivoracademy.net and lifewithscars.com.